negative. Can't you for once just let me enjoy the moment?
What about the neighbors? You don't think they heard that gunshot?
Neighbors? In 12 years in Los Angeles, have you ever seen a neighbor?
At 76, the world still sees Meryl Streep as the woman of endless grace, the actress whose talent seems untouchable, whose voice carries decades of characters, whose presence feels timeless. But behind the applause, the golden statues, and the spotless public persona exists a story far more fragile, far more human, and far more heartbreaking than most people ever realized. This is not the story of a superstar. It is the quiet, haunting story of a woman who rose to greatness through grief, loss, emotional sacrifice, and pain she carried in silence, long before the world called her a legend. The tragedy in Meryl Streep's life did not come with headlines, scandals, or controversies. Instead, it crept in like a shadow, shaping her work, her heart, and the way she moved through the world forever. Before Hollywood crowned her its greatest living actress, Meryl was a young woman in love, deeply, intensely, and completely. In the mid-1970s, she met actor John Cazale, known for films like The Godfather and Dog Day Afternoon. To the world, he was a brilliant performer. To Meryl, he was everything. A gentle soul, a quiet storm of creativity, a man whose presence made her believe life could be both artistic and safe. Their love wasn't loud or glamorous. It was raw, authentic, full of long conversations, shared dreams, and the kind of emotional connection most people spend a lifetime searching for. But life, in its cruelest form, intervened. John was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and the clock that once promised a future suddenly began to count down. As his health faded, Hollywood studios hesitated to cast him. Productions considered him a risk, but Meryl refused to leave his side. She stayed with him through every hospital visit, every sleepless night, every moment his body weakened while his spirit tried to stay strong. People around her wondered why she didn't step back, why she risked her rising career for a dying man. But to Meryl, love was not convenient. It was a vow she never said out loud, but lived every single day. On the set of The Deer Hunter, she watched the person she loved most fading in real time, acting beside him as if every scene was both a performance and a goodbye. And when John Cazale finally passed away, the world lost a great actor, but Meryl lost her heart. The tragedy did not end with grief. It became a weight she carried into every role that followed. She once said that grief does not disappear. It becomes part of your body, part of your breathing. And behind the characters she played, the powerful women, the stoic mothers, the broken heroes, lived the echo of that first great loss. Hollywood saw depth in her performances. What they didn't see was the pain it was carved from. In the years that followed, Meryl built a career most actors could only dream of. Awards, critical acclaim, films that became cultural landmarks. Yet with every new success came another burden: expectations. Directors expected perfection. The industry expected invincibility. Audiences expected greatness every single time. To the world, she was effortlessly brilliant, but behind the curtain, brilliance came with emotional exhaustion, long hours, internal battles, and the pressure of never being allowed to fail. The higher she climbed, the lonelier it sometimes became, because when the world believes you're flawless, there's no room left to be human. There was another silent struggle, one faced by countless women in Hollywood but rarely spoken aloud: age. As Meryl grew older, the industry that once celebrated her talent began to quietly question her value. Scripts shifted from complex heroines to background mothers and fading characters. Younger actresses were praised as fresh, while seasoned actresses were labeled past their prime. But Meryl refused to disappear. Instead, she transformed aging into power, challenging an industry obsessed with youth. Still, that doesn't erase the sting of doors that quietly closed, or roles she would never be allowed to play simply because time kept moving. Behind the spotlight, she was also a mother, a partner, a woman trying to balance a global career with a private life she fiercely protected. There were nights she returned home from emotionally draining roles and still had to be strong, present, warm. The world saw an icon. Her family saw a human being carrying the weight of two worlds on her shoulders. The untold tragedy of Meryl Streep's life is not a scandal or a secret. It is the story of a woman who loved deeply and lost deeply, who carried grief quietly, who turned heartbreak into art, and who learned that the price of greatness is often invisible. At 76, her legacy is not only built on awards or legendary performances, it is built on resilience, compassion, and the silent courage of a woman who kept moving forward even when life tried to break her. And perhaps that is the greatest truth no one ever saw coming, that behind the strongest characters she ever played was a heart that knew what it meant to be fragile.